Hello everyone! Welcome to Monday afternoon Advanced Studio Classroom live stream. 新年快乐! I'm Peter and we're joined this week by Christine.
Hi everyone!
Always good to have Christine with us. Always good to have you guys with us. We were off last week. Hope you all had a good Chinese New Year holiday, getting together with families, doing whatever you were doing, having some good food perhaps. We have kind of a serious subject for you all today, but it's a good subject to think about. But, this isn't going to be like, favorite movies or something like that. We're going to go a little more serious today. As always, it's from your trusty Advanced magazine here for the month of February. The article this week is called The Philosophy of Empathy. The Philosophy of Empathy. Empathy meaning, well, what does empathy mean?
Well, empathy means that you can put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
You can feel what they feel and imagine yourself in the situation that they are in.
Right. Empathy, sometimes confused with sympathy. Sympathy is actually feeling bad, feeling pity for someone. Empathy is kind of a little more neutral. It means that you've had an experience that someone else has had, so you know what they're going through. And compassion. Compassion is also a word that is adjacent to, is similar to empathy and sympathy. So as long as our article's talking about empathy, we thought, let's talk about compassion today, give you some English vocabulary to help think about compassion, help talk about compassion, and hopefully help to practice compassion as well. We start, as always, with our reader poll, totally anonymous, or viewer poll, reader poll, viewer poll, completely anonymous. Our poll question, you can chime in, let us know how you feel about the question. What is that question, Christine?
The question is, what makes practicing compassion difficult? So these are the options. It involves difficult feelings. I don't want to spoil the person. I don't know if I'm helping. Or the person doesn't deserve it.
Yes, good range of responses here because, like we said, a little serious today, compassion is difficult. It basically means feeling bad for someone and wanting to help them, even if it makes you feel bad too, because that's the thing about compassion. That's our first answer there. It involves difficult feelings. It does. If you are compassionate for someone, it means you kind of share their pain.
Feel it with them.
Feel it with them, yeah. Christine, how would you answer our poll question?
Probably it involves difficult feelings. Although I don't know, as an actor, I'm not afraid to enter into emotion.
Yes.
So I'm okay with crying with a friend who's crying. I can get there with them because that's just sort of part of the craft, but also something that I think is good for us to feel emotion and to let emotion out. So I do try to meet people emotionally where they are and then sort of work with them towards a solution if there's a solution that's possible.
Yeah. No, some of us are more gifted with the ability to enter into emotions and to process emotions, and that's certainly a help in being compassionate. Steve, hello. Good afternoon to you. You're studying the history of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lately. Okay, nice. Good for you, Steve. And the linguist also applauds your taste, Steve. So keep up with the Mutant Ninja Turtles. Regarding the poll question, I think, what makes practicing compassion difficult? It involves negative feelings. And I come from a theater background too, so I know what Christine is talking about. So I guess more for me, the difficult thing is I don't always know if I'm helping. Sometimes, because you enter into, when you're compassionate for someone, it means you enter into those difficult feelings that you have. You kind of share their suffering with them. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily feel like everything's okay now. That doesn't necessarily feel like you're actually helping them. Maybe both of you are now suffering.
That you're intensifying their emotional experience by entering in with them? Is that?
It could be that. See, that's the thing. That's sort of what's behind that particular answer in the poll question. I don't know if I'm helping. Am I just making things worse? Should I be directing their attention away from their bad feelings? That's another question, another answer. I don't want to spoil the person. I don't want to, indulge them and make them sort of get caught up in self-pity and such. So to be compassionate what makes it difficult can be that sense of, am I actually doing any good? Is this helpful? So we'll talk about that today as well, along with our vocab. But, let's see, we got Leo Wu. Nice to see you, Leo Wu. Good to have you with us. Your mood is strongly affected by others' feelings. Yes,
I can understand that.
Moods, emotions are tricky. And you may, though, Leo, Leo, you may have an ability to be compassionate. If you are affected by moods, then it's just a matter of learning how to manage that, and that empathy, that natural empathy that you have with people. So, vocab, English, here we go. Our first word, indifference. Kind of a long word. You might have heard of it. Indifference. Christine, what are we talking about?
So indifference is the opposite of compassion. It means I don't care. I could care less. Like whatever's happening to you, it has nothing to do with me. It's not my problem.
Right. The person doesn't wish you harm. They don't wish you suffering. They just don't care. It
has nothing to do with them.
Too bad. Life's tough, and on to the next thing. Indifference. That is, sometimes we can't be compassionate about each and every bad thing in the world, of course, but when we want to be compassionate with someone, we don't want to just be indifferent. Here's another one, also begins with in. Indulgence. Indulgence. Christine?
Well, I think indulgence, the meaning actually ties to our poll question. So the poll question is, I don't want to spoil the person by maybe feeling with them so much that now they have self-pity, right? And so to indulge someone is to maybe give them too much of something. So if there's a child and you indulge them, maybe you give them lots of ice cream or something that they want. But the danger of that is you might spoil them.
Exactly. Yeah. And that can be tricky with compassion. Am I, just sort of enabling them to keep wallowing in self-pity and not move through it to a more peaceful state? And we have a couple responses. Thank you, guys. Rose says, for me, it's pausing from what I'm focused on that makes practicing compassion difficult. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you have to take yourself away from what you are focusing on to be there for the person and to help them with their issue. Yeah, no, there's no easy way around it. Compassion is difficult, but it's also vital. It's, if we are not compassionate with each other, then, in a sense, all hope is lost. Could we see some of the poll results on the question? We like to give you guys early results, and then if we remember it, later results. But remember, the results are also posted in the more information box under the video. So if you're joining us a couple days later, you can still see the results there. What are our results so far, Christine?
So it looks like it involves difficult feelings is 60%. So most of us are in that, like, that's why it's difficult to practice compassion. The I don't want to spoil the person, 10%. So some people are like, is this a good idea or am I making it worse for them? I don't know if I'm helping. Yeah, again, like, is entering in with them like causing them to go deeper into their sorrow, maybe, right? So 30% of people think that. And I think it takes a lot of honesty if you're going to say the person doesn't deserve it. And I think there are times when you may feel that way, but right now we're at 0 for that one, and I understand why.
Right, exactly. Compassion, obviously we don't want to condone willful bad behavior or things that people have brought on themselves, but at the same time, we don't want to rejoice in that either. We don't want to say, ha ha, you got what you deserve. That's, emotions are complex and the human heart is complex, but for compassion, we want to avoid that. Okay, Christine spoke just a moment ago about difficult feelings. Let's give you a nice vocab word for a difficult feeling. Remorse. R-E-M-O-R-S-E. Remorse. Christine?
When you have remorse, you have great regret for something that has happened. You probably feel guilt and shame as well. So it's a very difficult emotion, and when you have self-compassion, it can help you work through those feelings of remorse. Sometimes it's something you've done on purpose and now regret. Other times it just happened and you just wish it didn't.
Exactly. Regret, remorse, it's like a deep regret is remorse. And Christine mentioned self-compassion just now. That's also something we wanted to talk about today. To be compassionate with others, as with so many things, you got to be compassionate with yourself. We have to be compassionate with ourselves and give ourselves a break too. And that can be difficult as well. But here's a good word, resilience. R-E-S-I-L-I-E-N-C-E, resilience. I always want to spell it as resilience, but it's not resilience, it's resilience. Extra I in there. And Christine, what are we talking about?
I think of resilience as the ability to push through difficult things.
Yes.
So when life knocks you down, you get back up and you try to make that experience give you the strength and even more strength and ability to face your future. So instead of just breaking under your remorse, for example, you learn from the experience and you move on.
Right. Resilience, the ability to bounce back from something, as we say. And one of the keys to developing resilience is self-compassion. Again, we're talking about ourselves now, not the other person for a moment, just focusing on ourselves. We need to develop and practice self-compassion, and that will lead to resilience. Sometimes people think, oh, self-compassion, I need to focus always on others and not pay any attention to what I'm suffering with. To a degree, that's true. But to a degree, if we can be compassionate with ourselves, that enables us to be more compassionate with others, and it develops resilience so that when we encounter tough feelings like remorse, they're still tough, don't get us wrong, but we can bounce back from them. When bad things happen, we can bounce back more easily, more quickly. And yeah, here's another nice word. All our words are kind of long today, a lot of syllables in them, so hang on here. But inadequate, I-N-A-D-E-Q-U-A-T-E, inadequate. Christine?
Inadequate is when you feel like you are not enough. Maybe you don't feel like you have enough energy or strength or resilience to do something. And when you feel like you're falling short of your expectations or of other people's expectations, that's when you feel inadequate.
Yes, and that's when you need to have compassion on yourself. Again, we're not talking about just excusing laziness. We're not talking about excusing, unwise decisions that you make. But we all make unwise decisions. We're all a little lazy from time to time, and we can't just always beat ourselves up about that. We need to have compassion on ourselves, because only then can we see, okay, why was I so lazy here? Why was I so angry here? Why was this an unwise choice? If we are compassionate with ourselves, if we're always just punish ourselves, or with other people, then it can be harder to see, it can be harder to grow from. It just becomes more of a burden to bear.
That's right.
Okay, let's give you guys a discussion question related to our topic here. You can chime in on this. And again, just as much as you feel like. This is mainly an opportunity to practice English, so don't feel like we're asking you to open your soul to us or anything. But here's our discussion question. What is, talking about self-compassion, what is a way that you practice self-compassion? And we've just sort of introduced the topic today, so take a moment, think about it. But what is a way that you do, or that you could practice compassion with yourself? Christine?
For me, I was never very good at paying attention to myself. I was always paying attention to other people and meeting other people's needs. So now something that I'm growing in is listening to my body. When I actually feel tired, I listen to it and I do something to nourish myself and to give myself rest. So when I actually stop to listen to what I need, that is me showing self-compassion.
That is a great example of self-compassion, listening to our body and not always just thinking the body is the slave to the mind or the heart or the desire, and what it wants to do, the body must come along, until it absolutely collapses.
Right.
But we need to listen to our body much sooner before absolute collapse. Otherwise, we will absolute collapse.
Yes.
And we might not have the resilience to recover from that.
And we won't have any space for compassion for other people if you yourself are broken.
Exactly. It has to start with us. It simply does. It's great to want to be compassionate for other people, but the only way we really will be is if we're first compassionate with ourselves. Again, like with so many things. Leo gives us a suggestion. I do meditation 1 hour every evening. Great. Yes.
That requires a lot of discipline to set aside that time in your busy life to really like take some time. So that's very admirable.
Just to screen out everything and focus on whatever you focus, or some forms of meditation try to empty the mind of things. But yeah, that's a time in which you kind of make a sacrifice of your time in order to tune in with yourself or tune in with your environment. Good example, Leo. Steve says, when practicing self-compassion, I try to learn how to be who I am and learn what I am good at, and also helping people when they need a hand. Yeah, see, practicing self-compassion, in the example Steve gives, almost naturally leads to being compassionate with other people. It kind of naturally turns our focus outwards. Who else are we hearing from here?
We also have Rose, and Rose says, having some me time doing things that I truly enjoy is one of the ways I practice self-compassion. Absolutely. Having a hobby that fills you, that brings you peace, is a great way for you to then be filled up so that you can have compassion for others as well.
Yes, good example, Rose. And we have a friend joining us in Chinese name, so I can't read it, but Christine?
I can't read it either.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, I'm not very good at reading.
Mei Ling?
Okay,
Mei Ling. Welcome, Mei Ling. You share that spend time getting close to nature, reading a good book, talking with supportive friends. Yes, practicing self-compassion doesn't have to be an entirely private, solitary endeavor. You can learn more about yourself and how you can be compassionate with yourself by talking to other people about yourself, by good supportive friends.
And the linguist here says, people say that when you practice compassion to ourselves, you are practicing kindness to yourself. I think a way I do that is being patient with myself when things go wrong without being overcritical. Absolutely. And sometimes it's so easy to be hard on ourselves, but you'll find that if you're hard on yourself, you're likely hard on other people, although usually harder on yourself.
Right. And that doesn't mean you shout at yourself out loud that people would notice it, but I think we all know how we sometimes shout at ourselves in our mind.
That negative self-talk.
Yeah. And again, it's not, there's a time for negative talk. There's a time for, come on, Peter, that was a silly thing to do and you shouldn't have done it. Now, let's move forward. But what we want to avoid is, oh, Peter, you're such a worthless piece of,
inadequate
and, blah, 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 blah. That is a lack of self-compassion. It's tricky to find the balance. We spend our lives practicing this, but hopefully we do try to practice it and practice it and practice it and practice it. Okay, we are just like that, running out of time. So we always want to give you a couple idioms before we go. And here's a nice one. It's actually well, here's the idiom: cold comfort. Knowing what this means, it's something I never like to hear, but cold comfort, what's that, Christine?
My understanding is that it just means it's not comforting at all.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it's something that you say to someone that is meant to comfort them, but doesn't really comfort them at all. It's like, so you lost all your money in that bad investment, huh? Well, money can't buy happiness.
You're like, thanks a lot.
Yeah, which is true, but that's not what the person needed to hear at that moment. They needed just someone to be there and listen to them and not just give them obvious truths that we all know about anyway. That's cold comfort, comfort that doesn't warm you. It makes you feel cold. Here's another one, kind of the opposite: the milk of human kindness. The milk of human kindness. Christine?
I think of it as milk nourishes a baby, for example. And so a milk of human kindness is the compassion or the help that you need.
Yes.
Fills your soul.
If we often say, oh, that person, they're great. They are just full of the milk of human kindness, to describe someone who is very compassionate, very sympathetic, very kind.
Builds you up, strengthens you.
Exactly. The milk. The idea of milk being associated with human kindness, like Christine was saying, is like the mother's milk that nurtures a baby, so it has a very positive association to it. Okay, let's throw you one more vocab word, just because this is helpful when you are wanting to be compassionate with someone else, talking about self-compassion, but here's one to think about to help you be compassionate with someone else: posture. 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 Christine?
Well, when you think about posture without talking about compassion, it's about how you sit, how your body is. But you can also have a posture of kindness or compassion. It's like you're ready for it. You're open to it.
Right, right. When you want to be compassionate with someone else, you don't want to sit back and, sort of increase that distance.
Distance yourself.
You want to enter in, bring yourself down a little bit, because remember, they're feeling down. And so if you mirror that feeling in your body language, as we say, in your posture, that can help the person feel like you really are with them and are not just going to give them some cold comfort.
That's right.
Anyway, we got a couple more here before we go. Steve, when drawing my own comic books, Steve with the comic books, I learned to understand the story of my life because it gives me inspirations to think what kind of character should I draw. Yes,
absolutely.
Writing creativity develops compassion. You need compassion for it to do it creatively.
That's right.
And Leo, a good example in Chinese, we say, drink more hot water when people catch cold or during a period. Okay. Drink more hot water, too, as another way to be compassionate to yourself and others. We got to go now. Thanks so much for joining us this week. We will be back next week, next Monday at the same time, with a new topic, another chance for you to practice your English, talk with us. But for today, I'm Peter.
I'm Christine.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now that bread.